I see it playing out. Let's say I see it starting off slow.
Okay.
And then I see as Shakur wins the first round, as Shakur wins the second round, slowly, I think Tio is going to eventually start picking it up and start imposing his will.
Right.
I think it's really that time for him to really take his first loss and, me whoop his ass to the point where either he quits on the stool or I knock him out. How I see this fight being played out is with me pretty much setting that momentum for the people out there as well. Not really trying to force for it. However, I can't be too technical with Shakur. You got to make it a little ugly. You do.
One interview, everyone thinks they already know how the massive clash between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez is supposed to unfold. The story is always the same. Shakur is too slick, too disciplined, too defensively sound for the explosive but inconsistent Teofimo. But Keyshawn Davis, one of the very few fighters who truly knows both men, just dropped a prediction that turns that narrative upside down. This wasn't friendly hype or teammate loyalty. It sounded like a warning. Davis is forecasting a fight that goes far beyond scorecards, built on things happening behind closed doors that fans haven't seen yet. And somehow, that wasn't even the biggest revelation. While everyone is fixated on lightweight supremacy, Keyshawn quietly laid out a career plan so bold it borders on madness unless he actually pulls it off.
Boxing is my division. I feel I can really do whatever I want to do, and I know what I want to do after I beat Jermaine. I want to go to 147 and get a 147 title.
Oh, okay.
This broke down how he sees his fight playing out. He didn't give the safe answer people expected. Instead, he painted a picture that should seriously concern Team Stevenson. According to Keyshawn, the opening rounds will look exactly how critics predict. Shakur controls a tempo early, snapping clean shots, banking rounds 1 and 2 with that suffocating precision that makes opponents feel like they're swinging in slow motion. It's the classic Stevenson blueprint, gom shop. Frustrating, but then the tone shifts. Davis warned that Teofimo Lopez isn't going to fold like the others. As the fight stretches into deeper waters, he believes Teofimo wakes up and starts forcing his will into the contest.
Winner's bracket fight. In other words, they're jumping to it, but at the end of the era, it may have been Teo and Shakur, especially if you would never fight Shakur, right? How do you see this fight playing out?
I see it playing out, let's say, I see it starting off slow.
Okay.
And then I see as Shakur wins the first round, as Shakur wins the second round, slowly, I think Tio is going to eventually start picking it up and start imposing his will.
Right.
And then, it's just going to go from there. That's how I think it's going to go.
That's a fair assessment.
That's a fair one.
Especially for that to be his brother.
I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be closer than people think.
Taylor's
I think it'll be closer than people
very
think.
good.
Hey, one thing I can say, though, because, I've been seeing, we've been amateur together and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Tio can fight.
I'm telling you that. Tio can fight.
He was winning back
If
then.
you said he couldn't, you'd be lying.
Right.
That's
That's a real assessment, though. I think Shakur still wins, but it's going to be closer than what people think.
Teo is
nice.
a lot, man, no doubt.
Yeah, and Keyshawn, speaking of...
Most analysts assume that once Shakur builds an early lead, the fight coasts to a comfortable, uneventful decision. Keyshawn says that's wrong. He sees Teofimo dragging Shakur into something ugly in the middle rounds, turning it into a grind no one is prepared for. He didn't over-explain it. He just said it plainly. Teofimo can really fight, and that's the warning. Shakur cannot afford to relax because Lopez has the power and chaos to disrupt even the cleanest game plan. While Davis still believes Shakur gets his hand raised, the picture he paints isn't domination. It's survival against a man who refuses to mentally break. But there's a massive X factor hanging over all of this, and it comes from a private moment Keyshawn shared with Teofimo that raises serious concern.
Teofimo knock out Shakur? No. Can Tio adjust to the point where he beats Shakur? Yeah. You don't see how? Shakur hates slick and economic boxers. So does Tio. They both hate what each other are. Shakur looks great against volume punchers. De Los Santos sitting back and not being active, Shakur doesn't look good. That's when they say he's boring. The thing is, Teofimo Lopez is an excellent fighter. He beat Josh Taylor and Lomachenko. How did he beat Lomachenko? By being patient. Y'all sleeping on Tio. And it's at 140. Now, the thing what's wrong with Tio is Tio also looks good as a counter puncher when you are a volume puncher too. Another thing is Tio looks very great when he's dialed in. He fights more athletic than Shakur. Shakur fights far more technically sound, and he's a more gifted fighter skill-wise. I'm leaning towards Shakur, but
Davis revealed a behind-the-scenes FaceTime conversation that should alarm every Teofimo Lopez supporter. During that call, Keyshawn picked up on something unsettling about Teofimo's mindset. Teofimo wasn't talking about solving Shakur's defense. He wasn't obsessed with legacy or unifying titles. According to Davis, his focus was somewhere else entirely. The name on his mind wasn't Stevenson, it was Jaron Boots Ennis. That revelation hit hard. One of boxing's biggest stars appearing mentally checked out of the most technical fight of his career while chasing a welterweight nightmare instead.
Tio, you've been vocal about your desire to fight Teofimo Lopez. And of course, I was there in Las Vegas, right, when you FaceTime Tio. Now Tio's fighting Shakur Stevenson, but do we see Keyshawn and Tio at some point?
How was Tio acting when I FaceTimed him? Since you brought it up, how was he acting?
You tell me. You tell the people.
Why do I gotta tell you?
You gotta tell him anyway.
Right.
How was he acting?
How was he acting?
Hey, all I'm gonna say is he was not motivated.
Right.
He kept saying he wanted
Hey,
boots.
but look,
He kept saying he wanted boots.
Teofimo is stepping into a chess match. With Shakur while mentally preparing for a street fight with Boots, he's walking straight into danger. Keyshawn hinted that this lack of focus was obvious in Teofimo's tone. It raises a brutal question. Is Lopez underestimating the mental endurance required to hunt Shakur Stevenson for 12 rounds? Davis seems to think so. He said the hunger just wasn't there. And in boxing, looking past your opponent is often the first step toward getting humbled. But while Keyshawn was dissecting the psychology at the top of the division, he also made one thing absolutely clear: why he will never fight Shakur Stevenson himself. Fans have begged for a Davis versus Stevenson showdown for years. Mentor versus protege, power versus perfection. But Keyshawn shut that door for good. Not with business logic, but with loyalty. When his career was spiraling issues, mental pressure, it wasn't promoters who stood by him. It was Shakur. The calls, the guidance, the support. The Keyshawn fighting Shakur would be betrayal. He sees lightweight as Shakur's kingdom, and he has no intention of challenging the man who helped
Shakur Stevenson.
Without
Without him, I wouldn't be here right now neither. And let's talk about Shakur, because y'all just keep riding his wave about us not fighting. Back then, I was telling y'all how I was going through all that mental home stuff, and he the one that was calling me. And now, from this June situation, like two points of my lowest times, he was there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
This
right.
time, y'all actually got to witness. So like, y'all keep talking about me and him fighting, bro. I would never fight Shakur. Y'all just need to kill that for real.
Feel that.
But Shakur was one person I reached out to, like, on that level, and he just giving me game. Y'all already know how we rock. Adrian Broner reached out to me,
AB, yeah.
giving me game. Hey, shouts out Southside, to the producer. Southside reaching out to me like, yo, get back in the. Chance the Rapper reached out to me. Shoot, I gotta go through the DMs. Like, a lot of people, surprisingly, who was just like, hey, Sauce Walker reached out to me. A lot of people surprisingly was just like, yo, get back, we miss you. So hey, shouts out to y'all, man, for real. Shouts out Jay Prince,
People remember who encouraged them when they were low,
hard times.
right? When
Absolutely.
you're going through the
Yes.
hard times,
Yes.
you remember who
That's real.
maybe even just gave you a word of advice. So I know you're not going to fight Shakur. Would you ever fight Shakur? No, I'm just kidding. In your mind.